my veins. Blue and one I red, white and blue in my brain. I'm Bulldog born. Bulldog, that's my
Welcome back to Inside the Kennel podcast. This is the favourite episode, the review and preview of our Bulldogs team. I've got the great, not Tristamus, but I think I might call you Lou Richards, Dougie, because you're the kiss of death, mate. The kiss of death. Explain yourself. What happened, Dougie? What happened?
We got beaten by Gold Coast and Port Adelaide.
And the Cats.
And the Cats.
And the Cats.
Mm.
What do I say again? You know what, boys, again, I may have said this our last chat. We weren't playing well, but we're still winning. And I still reckon we're not playing well. And I think North's improved. I don't think they're as bad as a lot of people say they are. They got some very good young talent. I thought we'd get them later. I watched the game, and I thought we'd get them later in the game. I thought they'd hang around us for a while and annoy the crap out of us. The Gold Coast game, I didn't think they'd beat us up in Darwin. I think our record up there, boys, is pretty good, or was pretty good. And Port are a very, very good team who have won, 11 or 12?
Yeah.
So there is excuses in there, Matty. Paul, there is excuses for those losses. Not the Gold Coast one, but the Geelong and Port Adelaide one, yes, there is. So the bye's good now, isn't it? There's a bye for the boys, and I think it's coming at a good time.
Yeah, we need to reload. So there's been a bit of a personnel change as well. Obviously, our back line has taken a bit of a hit, Doug. Firstly, what are your thoughts just around JJ going down? So he went down with a hammy. Then we've lost, Richards, who was having probably a career best season. Both of those boys, you could argue. So, are we able to replace, two chaps who are, in almost all Australian sort of form off the half back line?
Yeah. The boy Bailey Dale gives you that bit of run, doesn't he? I mean, he can give you that run. Joe Hansen was playing some really good footy, as was Richards as well. I reckon Caleb Daniel probably needs to go back and consistently now play more across half-back than in the midfield.
Yeah.
And the other one with Liam Jones now with that, I think is it a broken arm or
fractured arm, fractured wrist, Dougie.
Fractured arm. Now, this is where, boys, I've been saying this. Aaron Norton, not fullback, not in the last three, not in the back three. Yeah. I want to see Aaron Norton play across centre half back where he can run and jump, intercept, not stand there in the back three and under pressure and got nowhere to go and nowhere to move. Yeah. I know we had to do that late in the game against North Melbourne. Not even late in the game. It might have been the second half, if I can remember now. But the message to Bevo is he's got to play centre half back, not deep. Leave him at centre half back. Let Gardner or O'Brien or Keith play back. I want to see Norton play centre half back. That gives Jamara the forward line. And you know what it does give? You ready for this? Number 7. Number 7, Roy Lobb, to go to the goal square and beat that go-to player. Not the second or third choice that the midfielders have. They will look up and see big Roy Lobb in the goal square. No Norton. Jamara up the ground a little bit. Give Lobb all that room in the forward line is his.
While we're talking about Lobb, Dougie, let's do a little bit of a sort of a report card here. Lobb, how do you think he's travelling?
I think he's struggling with himself a bit, and I don't know how, and I don't see the logic in it why he's playing on a wing or starting on a wing. What he knows about the wing, he wouldn't know much about how to play the wing, to be honest. And at that height and size, I wouldn't even know when he'd ever played on the wing. I don't know if he plays there long. No. He does start there a bit in each quarters and stuff like that. And I reckon you can lose a bit of confidence from being up there and all of a sudden you're in a bit of a hustle and bustle. Then you've got to go forward and you've got to take a grab. I don't know if he's able to adjust to that, if that makes any sense. So I reckon just start him in the forward line, play Norton at centre half back, let Jamara come up the ground a little bit. Josh Bruce is not far off. Is he far off?
Yeah, so we went back to the reserves last week in the VFL and, put in a good solid performance. So you would expect, considering O'Brien and Jones have gone down, that if we're going to keep our three tall structure, that Gardner and Bruce, will be thrust, right in the frame.
You know what, Matty, Paul, you know what? I don't like Josh Bruce back.
Right.
I think he's a forward. That's just me. I don't like him back. In saying that, yeah, I don't. I like seeing him go forward, and if we do need someone in there to go in there to be a pinch hit as well, of course we've got English, haven't we? We have he had a great year, Tim English.
Oh,
If Bont's going to, if they say win the best and fairest, this bloke and probably Thomas Liberatore, right up his backside, aren't they?
Yeah,
terrific. The trouble is, Dougie, there's a lot of news around Western Australia and trying to make a play for him along with Nordo. That's coming up a lot in the news, Matty. Is that true, or is that?
Well, Paul, Matty, I think the kid will stay. I think that the club will make him a terrific offer. So is he out of contract, Paul? Is that what you're saying? Is he out of contract, or?
Matty, I'll go to Matty. Matty, is he out of contract, or what's the?
I don't think he's out of contract, but look, all clubs, they'd be fools not to be dangle a carrot, and this happens at all clubs. It's just it's thrust in our frame because we're invested and we hear it, and they're stars of the game. So certainly with Timmy English, he's a Western Australian boy, and his brother's come down to Melbourne. So I think that's a fair sign that he wants to stay. Let's hope as you say, we throw the kitchen sink at both of the boys to keep them here.
I reckon, Paul, you're on the money. I reckon you're on the money there with maybe West Coast Eagles. Nick Nat, he might be gone. So they need a ruckman, and they'll have a lot of money. And you're right, Paul, and Matty. He's a Perth boy. They'll make a hard play at him. They'll make a hard play, West Coast Eagles, and obviously Fremantle. They got Luke Jackson from Melbourne. May not as desperate as West Coast Eagles because Nick Nat. How many games he's played in the last 2 years? Probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, right.
So they're squealing out for a class quality ruckman, which Tim English is and has become. So let's keep him at the Bulldogs, eh?
Your best mate's boy, Westy, he's got back in the team. What do you think about his performance?
I still like to see him get a little bit of midfield time. I don't know how we're going to do it because we have a very quality midfield. I think the kid gets a little bit stuck in that forward, half forward, flank forward pocket, particularly after the boy Waitman wearing the number 3 jumper. Yeah, that was as good as he was a difference between North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. His 6 goals I thought were just brilliant, and they were individual stuff. His marking was a highlight. I've always been a little bit critical of the young boy when Norton's going and Jamara are going, just don't go. But his timing and his decision-making in the contest, in marking, was first class. And his marking was just brilliant. And
I think he's doing less of that, Dougie. I think he's sort of finding his feet, a bit like Jamara. He's finding their patterns. I think he's trying to keep away from that. Because a lot of his marks were they were individual brilliance, but they were sort of one-ons, or weren't they? They were more about him out in the space.
It was a great performance, Matty. It was a great performance by him, and I just thought, and again, I'll say it again. I've been a little bit critical of his jumping and that sort of stuff, but that performance against North Melbourne, it was a 3-voter. Make no mistake about that. He was the difference between us winning the game and losing the game. How's that,
Dougie? Arthur Jones came in really strong, built up a really nice, some really nice work, and then dropped off and's gone back to the reserves. Don't think he did a lot on the weekend. Is that a usual thing for a young player to come in and sort of maybe get a little bit of exhaustion midwinter, finding it a bit hard?
Paul, I'm not sure. The game's changed. It's changed a hell of a lot, and I think the game would suit someone like him of his ability to up and about and all over the place. I don't think he had a possession. Did he get a possession? Did he have a kick, or he didn't get a kick?
No,
not one kick.
Not against. Was it Port?
Port, was it? Not a possession.
Yeah.
And he wasn't on his own. I think the young boy O'Donnell, he found the tempo pretty hot. And I got a feel the boys, he may have been subbed in that game against Port. And Bevo sending him back to the VFL. But it's been a big arrival, hasn't it? I mean, there's the boy O'Donnell. played 3 or 4 games in the VFL, and all of a sudden he's been whacked in against the Gold Coast and Geelong, and then obviously the side that's flying in Port Adelaide. So, but going back to young boy Jones, he'll come back, Paul. He'll come back. He's got ability. I think he's got ability. But with the kid Waitman doing that, where does young Jones play? I mean, and Westy's going to hang in there now, I hope, and just keep the footy in, tackle, chase, harass. And when it's his turn to kick a goal, Westy, kick the bloody goal, son. Yeah. Kick the goal. That's your job now. If you get 8 possessions, kick 3 goals, you stay in. That's your job. Kick 3 goals each week, young Riley West, and you stay in. You won't go out.
Dougie, before we move on to the next 4 games, tell me about Hannon. Has he got a future at the club? I rate him big time. I think he's a beautiful footballer. Where does he fit into this team? He keeps coming in and out of the team. He's obviously valued. Where do you see him playing his best footy?
He's in and out, isn't he, Paul? Young Hannon, left footer. Yeah, left footer. He's a left footer, isn't he? Yeah. 29? Yeah, I think he's 29. It's a tricky one, Paul. It's a tricky one with him. I think he shows you. He shows you can play, and then all of a sudden he'll be dropped, or he's out of the side. He's one of the first to go, and then he's got to go back and play 2 or 3 good games in the VFL, and sometimes it's hard to go back and play that tempo of footy from where you come from here, and he might struggle with that a bit. I think you're right, Paul. He shows signs of playing. I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether the kid's going to really make it at a high level or not. Again,
he's a mercurial player at his best. Like, he's barrel chested, like, not unlike Richard Osborne. He's got a turn of speed, and he can bust through. He can take a mark. So his upside's very good. So if you can develop some consistency in his game, I think he's really hard to match up. And let's wish him all the best. And but he can push up the ground as well, because he's got a fantastic capacity, a good tank, and so you often see him sort of being that extra man, sort of making up the numbers, and he can go both ways. So I think they really like him. I know Rowan Smith. Having watched him closely at training, Rowan Smith is a huge rap for him. Very vocal in his support for him. So let's back him in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, Doug, what needs to go right from here? The next 5 weeks. So we've got 5 games in July. We play Freo, Collingwood, Sydney, Essendon, and the Giants. Now, 3 of those are at Marvel. One's in the SCG, and one is down at Ballarat. It's crunch time now if we're going to make the top 4.
Well, we beat Freo, don't we? If we don't beat them, we don't deserve to play finals. As simple as that. So there's 1 tick, and that's at Marvel. The next game, Matty's against
Magpies.
Where's that out, Matty?
It's at Marvel as well.
At Marvel?
Yeah, we got them at Marvel.
Paul's thinking too. I got Paul looking at me going, Dougie.
Listen, Lou, get it right.
They're going all right, Collingwood, but they're due to get skittled, aren't they? Can we skittle them? We need to play well, don't we?
I think we need to win that Dockers game and come on with some confidence. And remember the Dockers with Lobby. I mean, he had a great game last time, so maybe he can raise his game.
Leave me out of the Collingwood game, boys. I won't get involved in that. Poor Matty. Who's the next one, Matty?
Sydney at the SCG, Dougie.
That will beat them. We should beat them. We need to play well, but they're a good side. They're not a bad mob there. But boys, we're in a crunch time now. I've been joking a little bit with the other Collingwood game, and that, not the Fremantle game. We'll beat them. Don't worry about that. But this is a game this is an 8-pointer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. For us to have the dream or the thought of finishing top 4, which still there, still sneaky chance. This is an 8-pointer. This game will get down to where the Dogs land. I believe this. This is a real critical game in 3 weeks' time against Sydney at Sydney. Yeah. We need to win that game, and again, it's an 8-pointer.
Yeah, well, look, they've got a few players coming back, the Doggies, haven't we, for that round? You would expect that Richards and JJ come back. So we load up with the big guns. And, on the SCG, some direct play down the ground, on a smallish ground. I think those two will be vital players.
I think Richard will be back. I'm not sure about JJ looking at the injuries. He might be another week or two, Matty, but I think Richards will be back, which will be a big, big plus.
Sure.
Yeah, so, boys, that's a critical game. Let's not rush these boys with hamstrings too quick.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's off the bone sort of stuff, which I thought JJ might have been. I'm not sure about young Richards, but if they're ready to go, hey, boys, let's get them back in. Who's the last one, Matty? Who's the last game?
Essendon at Marvel. Not and then GWS, but Essendon at Marvel. Essendon playing some decent footy, Dougie.
Gee, they are, aren't they, Paul? Matty, gee, they are, Paul. Brad Scott's got him playing. Yeah, Brad Scott's got him playing good footy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Marvel Stadium Bulldogs. That's the last 2 out of the 4 is really 8 pointers. I mean, that's a critical game. Essendon's where we are.
Yes.
Sydney's around where we are.
Yes.
Fremantle ain't. Collingwood's up here. Those 2 games are real crunch games, aren't they? And we need to win one of the 2 of them. Or if we can win 2, it'd be even better if we can.
Yes.
Tough last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then we round off July by heading down up the road to Ballarat against the Giants. How do we go against them, Doug?
Funny side, aren't they, the Giants? Hard to assess them. The boy Toby Green's a terrific player. I love the way he plays his footy. He leads from the front. We play right at Marvel, don't we? We play not Marvel, sorry, Mars.
Mars, yeah.
We play well at Mars in Ballarat.
But
hope it's a wet day.
Yeah, they've been playing all right though, Dougie, up and down. But when they play well, they're
Paul,
playing
you're right.
Football.
Paul, you're right. We can't go in there, half cooked, or they'll get us. Those last 3 games, so critical, aren't they? They're so Swans, Essendon, and then the GWS. Collingwood won before it. This is it. Stand up and deliver, or swim or sink.
Absolutely. So let me summarise, Dougie. Dockers, we've got them covered.
Yep.
Pies, we're going to have to play out their footy. Sydney's going to be an 8-point game. It's going to be essential that we win. So is Essendon at Marvel.
Yep.
And then we hope it rains at Mars, and we beat. It's up to the weather. We'll beat GWS. Now, we've got them covered as well. I think our S football's better than their best football, Dougie. We come out of that, Matty, and where do we sit? Where do we ready? We ready to prime ourselves to consolidate the 8 and play good footy? What do we do?
Well, Doug's pretty much said, like if those 2 8-point games go in our favour, we win 4 out of 5, let's say, then we're basically then sitting at 12 wins. With a good 4 games to go. So if we halve those, we win 14, and with a good percentage, that may squeeze us into the top 4. So you know what? We might give it a shake.
You're right, Matty. Look, we got the Lions on 36. We're on 32. We're only 4 points out, and Brisbane Lions are flat track bullies. I mean, they're not a sure thing for 4. So it's very interesting. St Kilda are up and down. Essendon are up and down. They're in front of us. We could make the 4.
Yeah, we could, Paul and Matty. It's up to us. Let's not rely on other games. Let's get the job done. Let's play at our best. We're not playing at our best. We need to be at our best. If we're going to go in half cock, we're going to get skittled. But if the Dogs play at their best, guess what? We can beat anyone. We can beat anyone. I think the top 3 or 4 are fairly even. And with us at our best, and we're not out at the moment, we get to our best, we can beat those top sides. Make no mistake about that. I know it. Paul, you know it. Matty, you know it. As long as the players believe they can do it, they can do it. And if they do, guess what? They're right in the mix.
Dougie, here's one question I've got to ask for a fan. At the last game, I got pulled over. I do have a fan club, Dougie. It's a fan club of 1, okay? But he did say to me, we need a goal kicker. Can you ask Dougie, do we need a specialist goal kicking coach at the Doggies? Dougie, can you tell us, do we need one in today's times, or is it just players should be kicking straight?
Well, you know what, Paul, Matty, You blokes won't laugh at this, but some people will once they hear what I say. Let's go get Bernie Quinlan. Let's go get Bernie Quinlan. Seriously, let's go back and visit the past. One of the greatest goal kickers of all time, one of the greatest actions, one of the straight follow through. Go get the great Bernie Quinlan, and he'll show you can kick goals off 6 or 7 steps, not 45 or 50 steps, and have the mindset straight away, not double thinking. He's the man. Super boot, Bernie Quinlan.
So you think we do need one, Dougie?
I think we do.
Okay.
We got blokes who jab the ball. They don't kick through the footy. They try and guide it. Kick through the ball. Find a target behind the goals and kick the ball another 40 metres. Not kick it 20 or 30 metres. We've seen it, boys, over the last few weeks. We got blokes 30 metres out, jabbing the ball. Young Norton, I lay in bed and I scream. It staggers me. I'm going, Jesus, kick through the ball, son. And Jamara, he jabs it as well. The Bont in a tight situation, not far out, he tries to guide it as well.
Yeah.
He's at his best when he's on the run or the balls, he's having a shot for goal from not a set shot. Blokes they freeze up. Quinlan is the perfect balanced ball on the right side of your right side, left on your left if you're left footer. Quinlan was fantastic when he was down there with when Terry Wheeler was coach. Bernie Quinlan was fantastic for blokes like Danny Delray.
You got a few selections though. You got Simon Beasley,
Hyman, Calvin Templeton.
Matty, do clubs? Matty, do other clubs have goal kicking coaches or not? Is that just something in the past?
They absolutely do, and they call upon some specialists. I know that Matty Lloyd has been someone who's floated around at different clubs, and they've brought him in just to talk of the action. But a lot of the sports scientists as well, analyse the footage and try and get the mechanics of it right. But I'm with Doug on this. Getting a past player who just knows how to get the job done. Whether it be a Quinlan or a Templeton or a Beasley or a Tory Dixon or a Barry Hall. Yeah. These are straight kickers. It can be the difference between winning or losing. We went inside 50, 70 times against the Kangas and we kicked 15-15. We should have 20 goals, 10 for sure at worst. And then, the game changes. It's the same with those Port games, the Cats games, the Suns games, missing too many shots that we should get. We're playing some pretty good footy, but the finishing is critical. So can we get it right?
Yeah, go get Brendan Vavola. What's wrong with Vavola? It'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Great
kick for goal. Great action, the whole lot. Great set. Anyway, just a few names we chucked up.
Yeah, fantastic.
Hey, Matty, before we go, I know a lot of our audience members are going to be sitting there going, "What's that T-shirt Matty's wearing?" Matty, what do you got on there? Bones, give us a look. Bones McGee.
Dougie, who's Bones McGee?
I played with Bones McGee at the Bulldogs. He started there, come from West Footscray, and then went to Richmond, played in, I reckon, a couple of premierships at Richmond in those early 70s. Then he come back to the Bulldogs and then went to Sydney, played the Swans. Great man, Bones. Bones McGee. There's only one Bones McGee, and that's Bones McGee.
Love it.
Had a fag on the ground. He had a fag on the ground, I reckon, after the grand final, I think it was. Had a bit of a puff.
Absolutely. There he goes at it.
Great bloke, Bones McGee.
Yep. All right, well, that's about all we've got time for today, Dogs fans. But I'll tell you what, get yourself a membership. Dougie's saying it right now. We're going to win 4 out of the next 5, we feel. If we can do that, guys, suddenly the skies open up for September action, and get excited because there's a few adjustments to fix. And if we get it right, go Dogs.
Go Doggies.
Go Doggies.
Thanks, Dougie.
On your paw, go to Matty.
Fantastic, mate.
Red in my heart, white in my veins, blue in what I